Hi, I'm Tenzin Namjong, and welcome to the series on Nalanda, India's Ancient Wisdom, Lesson 2A. In the first lesson, we touched on how the Nalanda tradition is rooted in an empirical, reason-based approach to discovery. Now, let's address how debate fits into the Nalanda tradition of science-like philosophy. Why do Buddhists debate? And why should you? When we look at the early Buddhist texts and sutras, which record the way the Buddha guided his direct disciples, we see how much he encouraged discussion and debate. He himself debated frequently, with characteristic wit and patience, with a variety of interlocutors, some who didn't always necessarily accept the idea of Buddha being an enlightened being, and therefore sought to debate with the Buddha, hoping to defeat him. But the main purpose of debate isn't to win or defeat your opponent. Rather, it's a path of mutual inquiry. Through the course of question and answers, previously held misconceptions can be shown to be illogical and therefore can be discarded, and other positions which has sound logical basis can be adopted, helping both parties arrive closer to the truth. Furthermore, when we debate with another living person, we have access to a whole new world of ideas and insights. They often ask questions that we may have never thought of before. We have to make clear the unspoken assumptions that we take for granted. Also, by having to explain something to someone else, it forces an extra level of clarity. It is said that the best way to learn a subject is to teach it. In debate, it is like we have to teach and convince our opponent of the validity of our own views. In this way, it becomes clear for ourselves.
Unfortunately, informal discussions and debates that we may have with friends, or even formal ones in a public sphere, are often full of logical fallacies, instances of talking over one another and excessive emotion that hinders clear thinking. That's not what Nalanda Debate is about. Here, debate takes a very specific form, which will be covered in the coming lessons, which allows us to explore a topic with great precision and acuity. It's as if it gives us a new internal apparatus that we can use to probe our world. We point the laserscope of the mind towards an object and examine it from every angle. Debate cultivates this kind of cognitive clarity, focus, and agility. Thus, it isn't only useful for Buddhists. Anyone engaged in analysis of phenomena in our world will be aided in their analysis by learning Nalanda tradition debates. This includes scientists, historians, philosophers, political analysts, and politicians, social and environmental activists, and of course the general public, who gets given little tidbits of information that professionals have decided to be true, and then has the foreboding task of figuring out whether it really is and how it fits into our lives.
Now, I bet that most of us aren't just interested in understanding the external world or lofty intellectual subjects. We also want to be better people, with fewer problems and increased connection with others. So how does this kind of reasoning and debate help with this? The Buddha asserted that all of our suffering is rooted in ignorance, which isn't just a mere not knowing, but sometimes can be an active, distorted way of viewing ourselves and the world around us. There are countless types of wrong views, but the main ones are the so-called four distortions. We tend to conceive that which is impermanent in nature to be permanent and lasting, that which is suffering in nature to be true happiness, that which is impure to be pure, and that which is emergent and contingent on other factors to have an independent nature. Using logic to analyze our own beliefs, we can correct and eliminate our misconceptions and cognitive errors. In the short term, this will help us avoid much frustration, confusion, and disappointment when reality catches up with us. By living grounded in the way of how people, things, and situations really are, we can make better decisions about how to lead our lives. We can then have greater empathy and compassion when we see others suffering in the same way because of their own misconceptions.
To sum up then, we debate because we have ignorance. The Nalanda tradition style of debate is a unique method for cultivating the reasoned wisdom that allows us to accept our misconceptions as mistakes and to correct them. This allows the mind itself to remain much more settled and composed, making way for us to be fully engaged in life and ready for any challenges that may come our way. Debating develops the mind's abilities to clearly see and know the nature of ourselves, our minds, and the situations in which we find ourselves. But why is logic an especially powerful tool for mental well-being and contentment? We'll continue this discussion in the next lesson, where we'll explore the role of reason in our emotional responses.